the Knicks may have just turned it around. Tonight's box score didn't just show the Knicks beating the Nets. It showed them completely taking over every single statistical category you can imagine. And the numbers alone tell the full story of how dominant they were when they finished shooting 57% from the field by making 46 of 80 shots. That efficiency was the foundation of everything they built. Hitting 16 of 32 from long range, which is 50%, put even more pressure on the Nets. They weren't missing open looks. They weren't settling for contested jumpers, and they didn't rely on freebies to keep the scoreboard moving. That kind of balanced scoring efficiency is rare to see, and it's exactly what turned what could have been a normal game into the biggest margin of victory in franchise history. From almost the very first possessions, this was a stat sheet beating. New York outscored Brooklyn in every quarter, and by the time the fourth ended, they had a 32-10 advantage in that final frame alone. That's a huge chunk of the eventual 120-66 final, and it shows how completely they controlled tempo from start to finish. The Nets never scored more than 20 points in any quarter, and holding a team under 24 times in 48 minutes is an astounding defense accomplishment. Brooklyn's shooting woes were clear early, and they never recovered. Before the game was even halfway done, the Knicks already had a double-digit lead that only got bigger as the minutes went on. But before we talk, I've got to say something really quick. If you're still using a sports book, you probably aren't getting the best bang for your buck. And the thing is, Polymarket just ended the scam. Let me show you what I mean. This is live in the app. This is a trade I liked from the other night. Polymarket had Houston favored when I checked. That means San Antonio is sitting at just 39% to win. I'm trading on the Spurs. Why? Because San Antonio plays loose. And if the Spurs pull this off, that 39% chance turns into a 2.56 times payout. 197 becomes 505. And here's the kicker. If San Antonio takes a lead and that percentage jumps to 50 or 60%, I can trade out instantly and lock in the win. Try doing that with a sports book. You can't. They'll freeze the cash out button like your money's in jail. And don't get me started on fees. They'll charge $9 on 100 win. Polymarket, literally 10 cents. That's not a discount. That's a revolution. It's legal in all 50 states. And right now, they're giving you $10 free just for signing up. No deposit, no card. Just use my link below and code ModernJam for early access and your free $10. Welcome to the future. Polymarket. Trade like you're not being played. Anyways, back to the video. The rebounding edge was huge too. New York grabbed 56 total rebounds while Brooklyn managed just 48. That might not look insane on paper, but when you mix in how many of those boards turned into points, that edge really mattered. The Knicks turned 7 of the Nets' turnovers into fast break points in just the first half. And that's the kind of efficiency gained from rebounding well and taking care of the ball. Speaking of turnovers, the Knicks had only 12 in the whole game. That's a low number for a team that moved the ball as much as they did. And it led directly to them getting 28 assists on 46 made shots. When more than half of your made buckets come off assists, that's ball movement being translated into real scoring, not just empty stats. No single player dominated the box score by themselves. But what's crazy is how the leading scorers mixed their numbers with one another to create an unstoppable offensive flow. Jaylen Brunson led all scorers with 20 points, even though he made just 1 of 8 three-point attempts. That's a testament to how efficient he was inside the arc and on mid-range shot. He shot 8 of 17 overall and coupled that with 5 assists against only 2 turnovers. In 31 minutes on the floor, he posted a plus 27, and that leadership stat is huge when you're talking about possession control and production. When Brunson was on the floor, the offense hummed. At the same time, Brunson was doing his thing, Karl-Anthony Towns was right there mixing his own numbers in to make things even more challenging for Brooklyn. Towns finished with 14 points in only 20 minutes. He made 5 of his 8 shots, including 2 of 3 from deep, and added 8 rebounds to his stat line. That's a guy impacting the game in multiple ways every minute he's out there. His plus 21 shows how much influence he brought in limited minutes. And that's the kind of per minute scoring and rebounding mix that forces defenses to respect every angle of the offense. He was hitting shots when the team needed them and cleaning up the glass to keep possessions alive. Then you had Josh Hart, who went a perfect 5 of 5 from the field, finishing with 11 points, 9 rebounds, and 3 assists. Hart didn't need free throws to get his production. All his numbers came from game flow and smart positioning. His plus 19 reflects how his all-around play kept the ball moving and the pressure on the nets. Pair those numbers with Bridges' numbers and you get a lethal combo. Bridges chipped in 11 points on 5 of 9 shooting, added 4 assists, 1 block and 1 steal, and turned in a clean sheet with 0 turnovers. His plus 18 shows exactly how smoothly he fit into the Knights' overall efficiency. Landry Shamet just kept the long-range shooting barrage going with a perfect 6 of 6 from beyond the arc, finishing with 18 points in 15 minutes. His shooting was such a boost that even with those minutes, he ended up plus 23. Shamet's perfect night from distance didn't just add points, it stretched the Nets' defense and opened up space for others like Brunson, Towns, and Hart to operate. Miles McBride also mixed his numbers into the offensive consistency. He scored 14 points in 19 minutes, hit 3 of 4 from 3, dished out 4 assists, and didn't turn it over once. That plus 34 led the entire team, and it tells you everything about how productive the bench was when they hit the floor. Mitchell Robinson had a stat line that perfectly mixed defense and rebounding, grabbing 7 boards, blocking 2 shots and adding a steal while scoring 7 points. That's interior control on both ends of the floor, and his plus 20 is proof of how valuable he was, even when the starters took the show. Ariel Hookporty had 5 rebounds and a block, finishing with a plus 24 in 11 minutes, while Mohamed Diawara added 7 points, 3 rebounds, and a steal. When you see the bench numbers mixed together like that, it's clear the statistical spread didn't stop when the starters left the floor. This wasn't a game where 1 or 2 guys had to carry the load. Every player who stepped on the court left a mark in the box score. The combined stats paint a picture of structural dominance, high shooting percentages across the board, a high assist rate, low turnover, an aggressive rebounding posture, and defense that completely threw off the Nets' rhythm. The Knicks weren't just efficient, they were thorough. The defense held Brooklyn to the fewest points allowed by any team in nearly a decade, and that's a number that jumps off the page. Only 2 Nets players managed double figures, Michael Porter Jr. and Z.R. Williams, and that says a lot about how effectively the defense disrupted scoring opportunities. When you mix all of these individual contributions together, the team-wide effect becomes obvious. Brunson, Towns, Hart, and Bridges all mixed their scoring with assists and rebounding to create a balanced attack. Shamet and McBride lit it up from deep while also helping ball movement with assists and 0 turnover. Robinson, Clarkson, Hookporty, and Diawara all added defensive and rebounding value that kept possessions alive and prevented the Nets from getting anything resembling momentum. Add to that the fact that every single Knicks player finished with a positive plus minus, and you've got a statistical profile that's insane. The lowest plus minus on the team was plus 6, and that only happened for players who saw limited minutes. Having a roster where 13 guys all finish in the plus and multiple bench players sit above plus 20 is almost unheard of. It tells you that wherever the ball was, whoever was on the court, the Knicks were outscoring the Nets by comfortable margin. Let's zoom in on the assist to made basket ratio again, because that's a number that's easy to overlook but huge in context. 28 assists on 46 made field goals means more than half of the shots made were assisted. That means this wasn't a bunch of isolation buckets or lucky shots. This was set up ball movement and shared scoring that turned into real production. That's why so many players ended up in double figures or near it, why so many ended up with strong plus-minus numbers, and why the defense got so many easy transition opportunities that turned into fast break points. Those 7 fast break points off 7 turnovers early in the game were more than just random stats. They were momentum builders that translated directly into scoreboard pressure. Turnovers were limited, but when they happened, the Knicks made them count. That efficiency with the ball led to fewer wasted possessions and more quality chances. One of the most telling stats of all is that Brooklyn never scored more than 20 points in any quarter. It's one thing to win every quarter, it's another thing to completely stifle the opponent across all 4. That's what the defense did tonight. The Nets were held in check from tip-off to the final buzzer, and it's reflected in every single quarter's scoring totals. The Knicks simply outworked and outshot them in every phase. Then there's the overall shot quality, 57% from the field. With half of your threes falling, means the Knicks were picking their spots and executing. They weren't just chucking it up. When you add in 71% from the free throw line on 12 of 17, that's a complete offensive profile. It wasn't sloppy, it wasn't lucky, and it wasn't dependent on one player getting hot. When you mix Brunson's efficient scoring and ball handling, with Towns' versatile offense and rebounding, Hart's perfect shooting and hustle numbers, Bridges' balanced contribution, Shamet and McBride's long-range accuracy, plus the bench helpers adding boards, blocks, and steals. You get a team that operated as a cohesive unit. The ball found the open shooter, the defense forced tough shots, and the scoreboard ballooned accordingly. Here's another way to look at it. Brooklyn's total point output was 66. That's a number that many teams have reached in just a single half this season. Yet tonight, that's all the Nets managed in 48 full minutes. The defense wasn't just good, it was historically restrictive. Combine that with offensive precision, and you get a 54-point margin of victory. 120-66 is emphatic, and the stats tell you exactly how it happened. By the end of the night, the Knicks had outscored the Nets in every statistical category that matters: points, shooting percentages, assists, rebounds, plus minus, and even depth contributions. They didn't just win, they controlled every moment of the game. The spread was the biggest in franchise history, and every major stat reflects why that was the case. Tonight's performance was a statistical tour de force from start to finish, and the numbers will be talked about long after the final buzzer faded. But here's the thing. Tonight's focus has to be on how Jaylen Brunson has been playing this season, because if the Knicks are going to turn things around and win a championship, it's going to be because he leads them, and every stat point available backs that up. Brunson isn't just good this season, he's been elite in nearly every category that matters, and the numbers are staggering. He's doing things that more than 98% of players in the league don't do, and that isn't just talk, it's statistical reality. Let's start with scoring, because that's where Brunson's impact is most obvious. He's averaging 28.0 points per game, and that places him among the very top scorers in the entire league. Scoring that many points with consistency isn't something most players can manage. It's a number that says he's not just a volume scorer, he's an efficient, reliable bucket getter. When a player is dropping that many points every night, it's not a random fluke or a lucky streak, it's sustained excellence at the highest level. And scoring isn't just about volume, it's about efficiency. And that's where Brunson's numbers get even more impressive. His effective field goal percentage is 54.4%, which takes into account the added value of three-pointers. That means when he shoots the ball, he's making more than half of his shots once you adjust for the difficulty and value of long-range attempts. That's not average. That's better than more than 57% of all players in the league. He's doing it at a high clip while carrying a heavy offensive load every night. And that's the kind of scoring efficiency that separates good players from all-star level creators. Another way to measure scoring efficiency is true shooting percentage, which accounts for field goals, three-pointers, and free throws. Brunson's true shooting percentage this season is 59.3%, and that is no small thing. That places him well above the league average and over 60-point percentile for guards with similar usage. When a guard who's creating his own shot at a high usage rate still posts near 60% true shooting, that's elite production. It means Brunson isn't just getting baskets, he's getting high-quality baskets and converting them at a rate that most players dream about. He's not settling for garbage looks or inefficient mid-range shots. He's finishing possessions. When looking at points per scoring attempt, Brunson is at 1.2, which again proves that his scoring isn't just about volume, it's about value per possession. That stat combines his field goal attempts and his free throw attempts to show how much he's producing every time he's involved in a scoring opportunity. A number like 1.2 is a mark of elite offensive efficiency, especially for a high usage guard. Speaking of usage, Brunson's usage percentage is 31.4%, which means he's directly involved in nearly 1/3 of the Knicks' offensive possessions that end in a shot, free throw attempt, or turnover. That's a huge share of offensive responsibility, and yet he manages to maintain efficiency instead of seeing his numbers drop off due to overuse. Very few players in the entire league can handle that level of responsibility and still produce effective outcomes. That's what makes him such a critical piece of this team's identity this season. His offensive rating sits at 124.3, which means the Knicks are scoring well over 1.2 points per possession when he's on the court. That's indicative of a player who not only scores a lot himself, but opens up opportunities for others through spacing, decision-making, and playmaking. Meanwhile, his defensive rating is 120.3, reinforcing that even though his reputation is built on scoring, he's contributing on the defense end as well, not just disappearing after hitting buckets. Another telling stat is net rating, which is the difference between offensive and defensive rating. At plus 4.0, It shows that when Brunson is on the floor, the Knicks outscore opponents by 4 points per 100 possessions. That's a big deal when you consider how many players in the league have negative net ratings, even with good individual stats. This number proves that Brunson's overall impact is positive on both ends of the floor. The on-off statistic, plus 2.7, speaks to his presence directly. It measures the team's scoring margin when he's on the court versus when he's off. A positive number like that says the Knicks don't just rely on his counting stats. They actually function better as a team when he's playing. That's the hallmark of a true team leader, someone whose value isn't just in the box score, but in how the entire unit performs around him. Ball handling is another area where Brunson shines. According to advanced metrics, his ball handling rating puts him in the 95th percentile of the league, which means he's better at controlling the ball than more than 95% of other players. That's vital for a lead guard, especially one who initiates offense and has to make split-second decisions under pressure. When you're carrying a usage rate north of 30%, turnovers can easily become a problem, but Brunson keeps them in check. His assist to turnover numbers tell that story clearly. He's averaging 6.2 assists per game, with only 2.3 turnovers per game. That's a turnover percentage of 8.99%, which is better than 78% of players. In other words, he's creating scoring opportunities, not just for himself, but for his teammates. And he's doing it with care and precision. That assist rate of 28.59% shows that nearly 30% of the Knicks' field goals while he's on the floor are assisted by him. That's elite playmaking and ball distribution. The assist numbers alone, 6.2 assists per game and 15.5 points created via assists, tell a huge part of the story of how Brunson impacts the offensive flow. He's not just a scorer, he's a creator who gets others involved. When a player is putting up nearly 6 assists nightly while also scoring nearly 30 points, that dual threat forces defenses to choose between stopping his scoring or stopping his passing. Either way, it opens up opportunities for others. Brunson's usage statistics also show how many total actions he's involved in. When you look at his 21.1 field goal attempts, 5.9 free throw attempts, 6.2 assists, and only 2.3 turnovers, it's clear he's doing a ton of heavy lifting on offense. That's 35.5 significant offensive actions per game, and that doesn't even count other contributions like rebounds or deflection. That level of involvement means the offense runs through him, and he's producing consistently every night. Jaylen Brunson is also a player with high competitive minutes. When he's on the floor, the Knicks offense runs better, and his plus-minus numbers reflect that every time out, with more than half of his games showing a positive plus-minus. It's another sign that his presence correlates with team success. That might not get as much attention as points or assists, but for a lead guard, seeing a positive team performance when you're playing is vital. The context around his production also matters. In a season where teams are constantly adjusting defenses and matchups change every night, maintaining that level of scoring and efficiency isn't easy. Opponents scout film, they design schemes to limit a player like Brunson, and yet he still manages to produce at a high clip. That's consistency, and in the NBA, consistency is championship material. When looking at how a team wins in the playoffs and ultimately fights for a title, having a lead guard who can score at will while also creating plays for others is often the difference between a deep run and a disappointing exit. Brunson's blend of scoring volume and efficiency puts him in elite company. There are only a handful of guards in the league combining scoring, playmaking, and efficiency like he does. And that's part of what makes his season so remarkable. Teams that make championship runs typically have a star or two who can carry the offensive load while demanding defensive attention. Brunson fits that mold perfectly. With nearly 30 points per game and over 6 assists, he's shouldering the offensive responsibilities night in and night out, and he's doing it in a way that enhances the performance of the entire roster. Look at how the Knicks' offensive rating jumps with him on the court, how the assist percentage climbs, and how turnovers remain low. These are all signs of a leader in control of the game. Another key factor is how his shooting splits contribute to his efficiency. When a player is shooting with effective field goal and true shooting percentages north of the league average, it means defenses can't just sag off and force tough shots. Brunson is creating quality looks, converting at a high rate, and managing to get to the free throw line nearly 6 times per game. All of these elements together make him one of the most complete offensive players in the league. Free throws often tell an important story about how aggressive a player is in attacking the defense, and Brunson's free throw attempts are a big part of his scoring profile. Drawing contact consistently and getting to the line means he's forcing defenses to make tough choices, collapse and risk giving up free throws, or stay out and allow open jumpers. He's putting defenses in uncomfortable positions, and that's exactly what you want from a go-to guy. But scoring alone isn't enough to win championships. Players have to impact the game in multiple ways, and Brunson does that with his passing, his decision-making, and his leadership on the floor. That assist rate of nearly 30% shows he's creating open looks for teammates, and that kind of playmaking lifts the whole offense. A lead guard who can score and pass at that level forces opposing defenses to stay honest, which in turn creates more open opportunities for others. Turnovers, he's keeping them low. A turnover percentage under 9% with that heavy involvement in the offense is impressive. Many high-usage guards struggle with turnovers because the more you handle the ball, the more opportunities there are to cough it up. Brunson's ability to keep turnovers down while still driving the team's offense is a key part of why his season has been so effective. When evaluating his performance in a championship context, it's clear that Brunson has the kind of numbers coaches dream about from a starting point guard. He scores at an elite rate, he creates for teammates, he handles the ball efficiently, and he makes the offense better just by being on the court. That's exactly the kind of guy you want leading a team deep into the postseason. Championship teams don't win because of one stat alone. They win because their stars elevate the play of those around them. Brunson's assist numbers, usage, and net impact all point to a player who isn't just putting up points. He's orchestrating an offense and making everyone better. When the playoffs come, coaches are going to scheme around him, defenses are going to try to limit his touches, and that's where his ability to adapt and still produce will matter most. He's shown he can handle that pressure. Over the course of the season, while maintaining a high scoring average, he stayed efficient and consistent. That's harder than it looks. Younger players often see their efficiency drop when they take on more responsibility, but Brunson hasn't flinched. He's maintained a high true shooting percentage, which means he's making smart decisions about when to shoot, when to drive, and when to pass. The Knicks' hopes for a championship run rest more than largely on his shoulders, and the stats show why. With elite scoring volume, efficient shooting, high assist rates, low turnovers, and positive net impact, Brunson isn't just a piece of this team's success, he's the engine driving it. If the Knicks are going to turn things around and contend for a title, it's because Brunson is doing exactly what he's done all season, leading with production, efficiency, and playmaking that few other players in the league can match. Every possession he's involved in counts. Every shot he takes is high quality. Every assist he dishes opens up another avenue for success. And every time he keeps the ball in his hands and the offense flowing, the Knicks are better positioned to win games. That's what leadership looks like in the modern NBA, and Brunson's statistical profile this season embodies it. When the final buzzer sounds on this season and analysts look back on what defined a championship contender, Brunson's name will be at the top of every key category: scoring, efficiency, playmaking, usage, impact. He's elite across the board. If the Knicks rise up and capture a title, it won't be luck or circumstance that gets them there. It will be because Jaylen Brunson led them every step of the way with stats that don't just impress, they dominate. And another thing is, Karl-Anthony Towns has been solid this season, but solid isn't going to cut it if the Knicks want to win a championship. He's putting up more than 20 points per game, sitting at 20.9 exactly, which puts him ahead of 92% of players in the league. That's good company. But for a team with real title aspirations, that number needs to become more than just a counting stat. It needs to start swinging games. The Knicks don't just need Towns to be efficient, they need him to be dominant. Right now, his effective field goal percentage is 52.6, which puts him ahead of about 68% of players. That's decent. He's making shots, but not at the clip expected from someone who was brought in to be a true second option, maybe even a co-leader depending on the night. When you dig into his points per field goal, it comes out to 1.1. His 2-pointers per game sit at 5.1, and he's hitting 1.7 threes a night on just under 15 field goal attempts. Those are serviceable numbers, but they don't scream playoff killer. Where things look better is in his true shooting percentage. Towns is converting at a clip of 59.7%, which places him ahead of 92% of players. That means when you combine his field goals, 3-point attempts, and trips to the line, he's actually very efficient when he takes a shot. His points per scoring attempt sit at 1.2. That's elite on paper. He's averaging 6.4 free throw attempts a night, so he's generating contact, getting to the line, and converting. The problem is, despite the efficiency, the volume feels too passive for a player with his physical tools. His offensive rating is a strong 120.7. That tells you the Knicks score efficiently when he's on the floor. His defensive rating, though, is 116.4. That's not terrible, but it also isn't shutting anything down. The net rating is plus 4.2, which is fine, but not world-beating. If the Knicks are going to rise into actual contender status, they need that net rating to come from more than fine. Towns has to turn efficiency into impact. One stat that gives a decent picture of what's happening is the on-off metric. When Towns is on the floor, the team is outscoring opponents by 3.2 points per 100 possessions compared to when he's off. That's a sign he's helping, but it's not changing the structure of games. In big matchups or tight playoff settings, marginal advantages like that don't swing series. The Knicks need more than a slight edge. They need someone who makes teams rethink defensive game plan. Towns' assist numbers are another area where things are hovering in the middle. He's averaging 2.9 assists per game. That's just a bit above average for a big man, but when you look deeper at his assist percentage, the stat that measures how often his passes lead to scores when he's on the floor, he's at 12.98%. That's ahead of 54% of players. So he's not a black hole, but he's not a playmaker either. He's assisting on roughly 7 points per game. That's fine. But if Brunson is going to carry the perimeter and draw extra help, Towns has to punish defenses with passing out of doubles or moving the ball quickly when the floor tilts. Now let's talk about turnover. Towns is coughing the ball up 2.6 times a game. That puts his turnover percentage at 13.11, which is higher than more than half the league. That's not great. When you're getting the ball often and you're expected to initiate from the elbow, low post, or out on the perimeter, that percentage needs to come down. Every wasted possession becomes more painful in the postseason. And Towns' number of scoring actions per game, which includes shots, free throws, assists, and turnovers, comes in at around 17.5. So almost 1 in every 8 actions ends in a giveaway. From a ball handling perspective, Towns ranks in the 64th percentile. That means he's capable of keeping the ball on a string, facing up slower defenders, and navigating traffic. But that skill set hasn't translated into real game-breaking ability this year. Whether it's due to hesitating with the shot, waiting for double teams to come, or getting stuck between passing and shooting, his offensive rhythm feels off. And that's something the Knicks can't afford in the playoffs. If the Knicks are going to make noise in the East, Towns can't just be the big who spaces the floor and knocks down a few open threes. He has to take over games. His current role in the offense is leaning more toward floor stretcher than focal point. And that's not how this works when a team's banking on 2 stars. Brunson's doing his job. He's scoring almost 30 a night, creating for others, and drawing help defense. That means Towns is getting chances. And the numbers suggest he's making the most of them in terms of efficiency, but not aggression. Towns is playing well in stretches, but the inconsistencies are real. There have been games where he's gone quiet in second halves, struggled to get touches, or had low shot totals despite favorable matchup. He's also had outings where he scores in bunches, but fails to impact the game in other ways. That's a red flag. When the shots don't fall, he needs to dominate the glass, protect the rim, and make smart passes. He's averaging nearly 11 rebounds, which is strong, but the impact hasn't always been timely. He's recorded a positive plus-minus in about 58% of games this season. That means in almost half the games, the Knicks are getting outscored with him on the floor. Again, not disastrous, but not the kind of production a championship team can lean on. The Knicks need Towns to shift from complementary to catalytic. His usage has to go up. His confidence in the flow of the offense needs to grow. And his ability to punish mismatches has to show up night after night. Playoff basketball is about half-court scoring, matchup exploitation, and being able to take over a game for 4 minutes at a time. Towns has the tools. He's shooting well when he gets to his spots. He's efficient when he finishes possessions. He draws fouls and hits free throws. But the Knicks aren't going to win it all unless those skills become the driving force in games, not just a supporting act. This isn't about effort, it's about asserting dominance. Towns is more efficient than the numbers make him look. He's ahead of 92% of players in true shooting, and he's among the best in the league in scoring per attempt. But he has to be willing to take over. When Brunson draws help, Towns should be calling for the ball. When mismatched against smaller defenders, he should be attacking. When defenses sag, he should pull the trigger from 3 without hesitation. The Knicks are at their best when their stars both apply pressure. Right now, Brunson's doing it, and Towns is riding the wave. That won't work in a second-round series against elite defenses. Towns has to step up, statistically and mentally. The numbers say he's capable. The next step is proving it on the floor, consistently, aggressively, and when it matters most. If you guys enjoyed this, I'll be posting every day. I genuinely appreciate if you could subscribe. Thanks for watching.